Namaste friends, welcome to Indic Vichaar. This is Ajay Sudame for Nagpur Narratives. We are back with English episodes, English videos after a longish break. And the particular reason I wanted to do this video in English is because there is lots happening in Maharashtra politics. And the two people whose future will be decided in these municipal elections is Sharad Pawar. Sharad Pawar, his party, NCP, of course, his daughter and everybody else, and Uddhav Thackeray and his party. And hence, these elections are very, very critically important. So, and Sharad Pawar fully understands this, and hence he is making all kinds of moves, and he is running in all directions, and as usual, taking U-turns. So at times I feel that the original master of the U-turns is Sharad Pawar. I mean, I don't know why Arvind Kejriwal is given the credit for it, but Sharad Pawar is the original master of it. And I hope you understand why I'm saying that if you watch this video. So on 21st of May, Sharad Pawar met few Brahmin leaders in Maharashtra. Surprisingly, only a fortnight back, on 9th of May, he was abusing them. At a social function arranged by tribal community leaders in Satara, he used the word Salyano in a very derogatory way. While reading a poem by the name of Patharvat, he used this word Salyano, which is not in the original poem. This poem is written by a little known poet by the name of Jawahar Rathore. So this word Salyano is nowhere there in the original poem. And what Sharad Pawar wanted to convey is that these Brahmins, these Salyano Brahmins, did not allow this Patharvat community, which is a tribal, sort of a tribal community in Maharashtra. They did not allow this Patharvat community to enter into the mandir and have darshan of the gods. Right? So to me and to almost everybody in Maharashtra, this was a surprise because Sharad Pawar normally doesn't use strong words for just customers. Also, to those who may not know, Salyano is Salyano, though it's a cuss word, it also denotes a relation. And one's wife's brother is known as Salyano. I guess that wife's brother is known as a Sala. So I believe that's a nice alibi which Sharad Pawar will use eventually. Now this is not one of incidents. Within few days, I mean, as I told you, on 21st of May, Sharad Pawar met Brahmin leaders. On 9th May, he was abusing them. Between this fortnight, there were at least 3 or 4 incidents which happened in Maharashtra, where on Facebook or social media or Twitter posts, Brahmin karyakartas and a small Brahmin actress named Ketiki Chitale was abused, arrested, and brute state power was used to assault, which is again very unlike Sharad Pawar and very unlike NCP. What suits Sharad Pawar and what is general style is something which I'm telling now. Only say a month or back so, Sharad Pawar was targeting Girish Bapat, who was a member of parliament, BJP member of parliament from Pune. He said it's surprising that Girish Bapat manages to get himself elected by contesting from anywhere in Pune. So what he was trying to say that though Girish Bapat is a Brahmin and Brahmins are not in large number, Girish Bapat gets himself. So this is again specific targeting of Brahmins. But this does suit Pawar. This does suit Sharad Pawar. Not that slapping and assaulting and using cuss words. So again, when Sharad Pawar was targeting Girish Bapat, around that same time, Amol Mitkari, his protege, was somewhere in Satara Kolhapur, in a public meeting was chiding Purohits, Brahmins Purohits who read puja. So who recite mantras and who do pujas in Maharashtra. Of course, all over India. So he was chiding those Purohits. And Jayant Patil, a very senior leader of NCP, and Dhananjay Munde, again another very, leading light of NCP, was enjoying that chiding and they were laughing at it. So this targeting of Brahmins is not new at all. Sharad Pawar, as Raj Thackeray rightly said, NCP is the most castiest party in Maharashtra. But then this strong arm tactics and this abuse is something very new. Firstly, I will tell you why. It's a triple surprise for me. Firstly, because in Indian politics for last many years, it was Modi who was abused, of course, to please Muslims. Here I'm showing you two examples. Here is CP Joshi from Rajasthan and Manishankar Iyer of Congress Party who abused Modi, who themselves are Brahmins. So it was Brahmins also at times who were abusing Modi to please Muslims and few other castes. Secondly, Sharad Pawar, as I said, is not known for using strong language. Forget cuss words. He is a very sophisticated politician. For example, 6 years back, when BJP nominated Sambhaji Maharaj, the legal heir to royal throne of Kolhapur, as Rajya Sabha MP, Sharad Pawar did take pot shots at Sambhaji Maharaj and Devendra Fadnis in one way. He said that in old times, it was Chhatrapati or Maharaj who used to nominate Peshwas. Means Peshwas are Brahmins by caste. But it's a surprise that these days, these are Peshwas who are nominating Chhatrapatis. So it did create a flutter in Maharashtra politics. And I must say, he managed to embarrass Devendra and Sambhaji Maharaj in one way. So that's hallmark of Sharad Pawar, but not cuss words and strong undertones. Third and last, Maharashtra is not known for combative and confrontational politics. The political discourse generally is very staid, notwithstanding the party in power. The political narrative for best part of this 75 years was managed by Congress heavyweights such as Yashwant Rao and Shankar Rao Chauhan initially, and Vasant-Dada Patil and Sharad Pawar later. Of course, not to deny that all these years, overwhelmingly, the state was ruled by Congress and NCP. But even when, though for a short period, between 1995 to 1999, when Shiv Sena, BJP combined managed to defeat Congress and win power, there was no aim, there was no attempt at changing the narrative. For example, Balasaheb Thackeray, without any doubt, the captain of Shiv Sena BJP combined, who always used to complain about the loudspeakers on mosques or naming Aurangabad as Sambhajinagar, didn't do anything in this way. There was no attempt at changing the political narrative. And hence, that's not the only reason, but that was one of the big reasons. And hence, 5 years later, Sharad Pawar and Congress, in 99, Sharad Pawar had broken away from Congress and formed his own party. But in that election in 1999, he had an alliance with Congress. So, as I said, 5 years later, Sharad Pawar and Congress combined was able to make a comeback and then rule without much trouble for next 15 years. This, in a way, is comparable to Atal Bihari's regime between 1998 to 2004. even after running one of the most popular governments for one full term of 5 years plus 1 year, starting from 1998, Atal Bihari was defeated by Sonia Gandhi's UPA, and Congress was able to make a comeback, or UPA was able to make a comeback in 2004 and rule for next 10 years, a full decade between 2004 to 2014. So the staying out of power for a while, say 5 years, it was Congress stayed out of power for 6 years, but mostly it was 5 years or less than that. So the staying out of power and then making a comeback is an art which Sharad Pawar perfected in Congress. If you don't remember, I will make you remember that. Please recall how Indira Gandhi, after being damned for the emergency in 1975, made a roaring comeback in 1977 and ruled like an empress till her last breath. Still not convinced? I will give another example. Cut to 2014. At the height of Modi wave, BJP in Maharashtra broke the 25-year-old alliance with Shiva Sena and went alone and managed to win an all-time high of 122 seats on its own. Sharad Pawar, as alive as ever to the possibilities, fully understood how the narrative has shifted and decided to back BJP without any delay. This left Shiv Sena fuming, and eventually, out of no choice, they also backed the BJP government. So Devendra is appointed chief minister, and without much trouble, he manages to rule for next 5 years with Shiv Sena as an ally partner and Sharad Pawar as a friend. That was a unique time. Come 2019, and you have a surprise in store. After losing the election, after BJP Shiva Sena combined, winning a comfortable 160 seats, and actually I have 165 seats, Sharad Pawar makes Uddhav Thackeray backstab BJP, and he is back in power. Did I not tell you? The art of staying out of power for 5 years and then making a comeback again. So for last 2.5 years, this is Sharad Pawar's government. Uddhav Thackeray is a figurehead. Uddhav Thackeray is a chief minister. But this is, for all practical purposes, this is Sharad Pawar's government. So coming back to our original question. If Sharad Pawar is such a master at staying out of power and coming back and then managing narrative, why abuse Brahmins? Friends, that's the whole point. In this last 2.5 years, though Sharad Pawar is in power, he has been not able to manage the narrative. And the full credit, of course, to BJP, Maharashtra BJP, and Devendra Fadnavis. I will tell you how and why. So I think that there are two main reasons why Sharad Pawar is abusing Brahmins and his party, and the state machinery is going after. The first is largely more about creating a visual effect, but which is very, very important. And the second is about catering to a niche floating vote bank, which can make all the difference in these close elections. In this, of course, municipal elections and maybe the assembly elections, which may happen immediately after that. So let me tell you about the second reason first, which is, as I said, that catering to a small niche vote bank, which is, for example, the Adivasis, the tribals, and small castes in Maharashtra. In last many years, through its social outreach, RSS, and many of its affiliates, BJP has been able to get this tribal vote for them. Normally earlier, these tribals and Adivasis used to vote for Congress. But over a period of time, Dalits, Adivasis and tribals have shifted their allegiance to BJP. And hence, Sharad Pawar is reminding them that they have been denied darshan of Vishnu, Ram, Mahesh and Brahma by these Brahmins. And hence, read that poem and abuse them by saying Salam. Now coming back to first reason, which is very important, which is about creating a visual effect. For that, friends, I will have to take you back to history. Maharashtra has a long history of Brahmin Maratha fighting Mughals and British together and sharing power, which also means obvious friction between these two communities. And this goes back to those times when in 18th century, after the deaths of Shivaji Maharaj and Sambhaji Maharaj, Peshwas usurped all the administrative and political power. Actually, Peshwas, who are the Pradhans or who are the Prime Minister to the President, right? Who are the Prime Minister to the President being the king here, the President being the Chhatrapati, the king here, and Peshwas being the Panta Pradhans or Prime Minister. So these Peshwas usurped all the administrative and political power and military power and became de facto rulers. The Chhatrapati or the king became more of a figurehead and hardly had any power over the Peshwas. Since then, the picture hasn't changed in Maharashtra. Brahmins, though only a tenth of Marathas in numbers, has been sharing power with them and giving them stare for stare and dare for dare. So to me, Sharad Pawar firing verbal lobbies at Brahmins and his party men and using strong arm tactics, this and disproportionate power against Brahmins is aimed at showing that even today, at his age, at the age of 82, the Maratha strongman still calls the shots. And these Brahmins can be put in their place. For Sharad Pawar, today, this projection as the biggest Maratha leader matters a lot, because unlike the times when Sharad Pawar used to lead Congress in Maharashtra, the Marathas who are 31%, Marathas and Kundis put together, who form the 31% bloc in Maharashtra, don't vote for Sharad Pawar today. There was a time when overwhelmingly this caste bloc, I believe it was more than 70%, used to vote for Congress and hence Sharad. Since Sharad Pawar, since 1999 and since Modi came along, today this largest caste bloc votes for 4 parties, or you can say even 5 after Raj Thackeray. These 4 parties are, of course, NCP, Congress, Shiva Sena, BJP, and now Raj Thackre's alliance. So now this largest vote bank has been divided into 4 parts, and a small part going to Raj Thackeray. And hence, this Sharad Pawar self-projection is very important. Secondly, it's the BJP and particularly Brahmins who have created a formidable alliance of Brahmins, Dalits, and OBCs in Maharashtra and given a real fright to the powerful combine of Marathas and Muslims. So there is a strong political reason for assaulting Brahmins. This helps in galvanizing the NCP and Shiva Sena Karyakartas. Importantly, this should be seen as a counter-offensive against Devendra Fadnavis, who also happens to be a Brahmin. It was Devendra Fadnavis offensive starting from Mansukh Hiren case, which has put this government repeatedly on the ropes and dented its credibility. It was Devendra Fadnavis who brought the call detail records out of call detail records of calls between Sachin Vaze, Parambir Singh and Mansukh Hiren, which led to sacking and arrest of Anil Deshmukh initially and then Nawab Malik. You must know this, friends, that Anil Deshmukh was the strongest leader in Vidarbha, which otherwise happens to be the fortress of BJP for BJP. Also, Nawab Malik is a very strong Muslim face in Mumbai, and hence this arrest of Anil Deshmukh and Nawab Malik has led this government has led this NCP feeling. It has NCP in deep trouble, and if NCP loses this Mahapalika elections, the full credit should go to Devendra Fadnavis for taking out Anil Deshmukh and Nawab Malik. So have no doubt that this is one of the deadliest attacks by Devendra Fadnavis, has not only weakened his government, his party, but has also dented the future prospect of Pawar clan, and hence this desperation. That brings us to the last question: why Sharad Pawar met Brahmins after abusing them? For the same reason for which he abused them on 9th May. And that reason is, friends, is to tarnish their image. I am not sure which Brahmin wanted to meet Sharad Pawar and how he couldn't see the game behind this, the motive behind this. You don't trust me? Read this. Sharad Pawar, after meeting Brahmins, came out saying that it is the Brahmins who don't want reservations. And if you don't know, there is currently the hot button issue in Maharashtra is OBC reservations. So Devendra Fadnavis has again rightly brought it forward that it is Sharad Pawar's Maratha party, NCP, and Shiva Sena, which is against reservations to OBC. But after this meeting, Sharad Pawar will try to turn tables on Devendra by saying that it is Brahmins who don't want reservations for OBCs. However, this may not be able to cut much ice, because of course this BJP is not Atal Bihar's BJP. Clearly, these are desperate times for Sharad Pawar, and hence these desperate times. As we get closer to municipal elections, you will see more U-turns and desperate measures by Sharad Pawar. That's it for today, friends. Namaste. Jai Shri.